Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back. After quite a hiatus, I'm glad to be back and filming more videos to inform you guys on different aspects of fitness and what I've been doing and how I've been trying to live a healthier lifestyle. Today's particular video, I've been asked a lot of questions regarding the runs that I do. And so this video is going to be addressing specifically obstacle course races that I have completed within the past year or two. And the four that I'll be going over this time are the Warrior Dash, Terrain Race, the Spartan, and the Rugged Maniac. All four of those I've completed within the past 2 years, I believe. And so this video is kind of to inform you all to help make a decision on if you're just beginning or if you're intermediate or advanced, to kind of rank these four races in degrees of difficulty. I'm also going to take into account the overall atmosphere and the overall experience. And then also I'll give you prices of the different races to kind of help guide you all in making your decision as race season really starts to amp up now. From difficulty alone, the easiest of the four that I've mentioned was the Warrior Dash. That was right around a typical 5K distance of 3.1 miles. And there were about 12 obstacles, I believe, if I remember correctly. All 12 of those obstacles were simple enough that a beginner could complete them without too much difficulty, I would say. But it's also a really easy race to run with a group of friends. I know that I did it with a group of the ladies from the Burn Boot Camp, and we all were very supportive of each other, and everybody was able to complete each obstacle with little to no issues. We did have a little instance where a girl was scared of heights, but she conquered that and was able to get over the wall. Many of the obstacles that you'll face with the Warrior Dash is a lot of like climbing, but it's really easy. It's a really easy climb. It's everything's kind of ladder stepped, and not much upper body strength is needed to climb these things. And even for the walls that may be a little bit taller than an easy scale, you can help each other out with boosting up over the wall and things like that. So overall, Warrior Dash, it's a great beginner run. I would strongly recommend that for anybody who's a little bit nervous about some of the more hardcore races. With that, the prices for all of these races vary in regards to when you register. So they all have early bird prices, and they all kind of increment up the late or the closer you get to the run date. So these prices were I tried to take prices closer to the race date. So just keep in mind that these numbers may vary depending on when you're looking at a race. But the Warrior Dash that I looked at today had a price of around $70, which comparatively, as you'll see, isn't that bad. There's also a spectator fee, which really sucks, and I don't know why a lot of these races do that. But the spectator fee is $10. It would make more sense to me if they allowed spectators to come in free to engage in the experience and allow people to see if that's something that they maybe want to try to do in the future. But I'm not a race organizer, so I can't really explain that. All four of these races have a pretty good atmosphere around the festival, around the whole race. They typically have a DJ, a couple like food trucks or vendors out to sell food post or pre-race, along with different energy drinks, along with different companies trying to promote their brands of footwear or other fitness accessories. So in terms of difficulty, again, the next race that I would recommend is the Terrain Race. That one is quite a bit harder in terms of obstacles than the Warrior Dash. It is also a 5K or 3.1 mile race. It has close to 20 or a little above 20 obstacles. Now that race I did 2 years ago, and from what I can recall, the obstacles are manageable. There were one or two. There was one incline monkey bars and a decline monkey bars all in the same obstacle. that was a little difficult. There's also a rope climb in there that would require upper body strength. Now, this clip that I'm showing you now isn't of the terrain race. It is an abbreviated Spartan rope climb, but the heights of the rope climbs are pretty comparable. So that's why I'm showing you this rope climb, to get an idea of what a terrain race rope climb may be. Whenever I did the rope climb at the terrain race, I remember that I was able to jump up more than halfway, and I think it was 2, maybe 3 pulls before I was at the top. So it really wasn't a tall climb or a tough climb at all. I remember the group that I ran with were people of all sizes, all weights, and we were all able to accomplish that. I know I was able to help lift various members of our group up to the top rope. So where it may be difficult to do on your own, again, you can always run with a group and they can help you accomplish that goal. There is like a bucket carry that you just carry a 5-gallon bucket full of rocks or stones, and you just kind of make a lap around there. They also allow free spectating, so you can get a support group out there. It's always easier to do these runs with a support group, whether they run with you or just share from the festival area. Speaking of the festival area, with the terrain race, I would say it was the most simplistic of the 4. There may have been like a DJ and one area where you could get food and different sports drinks. So it wasn't as expansive as the other races, but it was still enjoyable, especially when I went with a group of friends. Yeah, so that would be my experience with the terrain race. The next on the list would be the Rugged Maniac. I did this one in the fall of last year. It was a very enjoyable experience, aside from it was pretty darn cold at the venue I was at, and there's a lot of water aspect to the Rugged Maniac. The Rugged Maniac is also a 5K or 3.1 mile distance. It boasts around 25 obstacles. I actually had footage of the Rugged Maniac that I did in the fall, but I fell off one of the obstacles, which was just rings that you had to swing across. And when I fell into the water pit, my camera came off, and unfortunately the volunteers supposedly were unable to find the camera. But it is what it is, so I had to get a new camera to record races for this year. In regards to the obstacles at the Rugged Maniac, there is a good blend of beginner to advanced obstacles. I would say there were more of the easy obstacles to complete. There were about 3 obstacles that would be difficult for a beginner, but you'd still be able to accomplish them with aid from your group that you run with. Again, I ran with a group for this one. There's only been 1 or 2 races that I've actually ran by myself. So I strongly urge you to get a group. If you are solo trying to do this, all of these races and all of the racers in them are very helpful. I haven't encountered anybody who has denied helping somebody. I will say that the competitive heats of all these races may be different. I haven't ran competitively yet. I'm planning to this year, actually. But then, obviously, for those competitive reasons, they wouldn't give you a foot up or anything like that. But these open races that, if you're beginning, I'd strongly urge you to do. Even if you're running by yourself, you're going to find somebody who's pacing with you or running along with you, that if they see you struggling, somebody's going to help you. So feel comfortable with that. So going back to the obstacles in Rugged Maniac, sorry to be jumping around. One of them was a pretty easy monkey bar traverse section, a lot of crawling in the mud. I mentioned the rings. One of the coolest obstacles that I liked at this one, or at any of them, was one, I can't remember what it was called, but it's a rope hanging on a zip line, and you get a running start, grab the rope, and you swing, and you just kind of ride the zip line a good little distance. I would say maybe 10, 12, 15 feet. I'm kind of difficult with distances, but you just run to the end, and once you hit the end, you let go and you fall into some water, and that was pretty fun. In this particular race, right after that was the warped wall that I'm sure if you've seen American Ninja Warrior, you get an idea of what a warped wall is. I'm not entirely sure how tall this particular wall is. I want to say 10 feet. I do remember that I was able to get up there by myself. And then one of the cool aspects of that was once I got up there, now there were people up there to help me if I needed it, but once I was up there, I was able to turn back around and help a lot of people behind me. I thought that was really cool to try to catch people as they come and run and help them get over that wall, because that was the last obstacle of the race. And so just helping people get to that last point was pretty gratifying for me. And then on top of the wall, you kind of go down a water slide into another little small mud pit and then cross the finish line. So it was a very enjoyable race. Had it not been cold, I probably would have enjoyed it even more. I'm going to run that race again this year in the spring, so that should help with the temperature aspect of everything. As far as the festival goes, it was much more expansive. A lot of tents, a lot of vendors out there. There was a DJ. They had different content. They had like a pie eating contest. I believe that particular, it was in October that I went because we had to dress up in Halloween costumes. We were the Ninja Turtles. And so they had a costume contest out there, and there were some pretty wild characters out there. But it was overall great experience, a great atmosphere. Like I've mentioned so far, all of these races have a great atmosphere. Everybody's really accepting and really friendly and easy to talk to. Now the prices with the rugged, the ones that I checked out today ranged between $30 to $100 depending on when you signed up for the race. So obviously the earlier on that you decide to do it, the cheaper it's going to be. The Rugged Maniac also has a free spectator admission. So you can always bring a friend, somebody that's interested, or somebody that just wants to cheer you on is always good to come. Now the one that I have the most videos on my channel, it would be the Spartan. And that one is probably the most popular and definitely the most competitive of the ones that I've done. There are different stages of Spartan races, and if y'all want a video on Spartan races specifically, just leave a comment, let me know, and I will gladly go into a more deeper detail of the Spartan experience. For comparison's sake, I will be talking about the Spartan Sprint, which on paper, they say goes anywhere between 3 to 5 miles depending on the venue. And if I remember correctly, 20 to 24 obstacles also depending on the venue. Going into the obstacles aspect, as you will see from the video, they are a lot more upper body intensive, a lot more strength is required, a lot more technique is needed. If you are a beginner and interested in the Spartan, I do encourage you to look into the techniques of how to do the obstacles. A lot of them require the proper technique in addition to strength training to complete. With the competitive waves of the Spartan, if you are unable to complete an obstacle, you are required to do 30 burpees. With the open waves, they're a lot more lenient with that. So I know, people don't always do the 30 burpees in the open heats. So obviously, if you're a beginner, definitely go with the open heat later on in the day. Competitive heats take off really early in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock, and I believe from 9:15 onwards in the day is when the open heats take place. So definitely take that into account when making your decision about the Spartan. The Spartan is so popular that it is sometimes televised. I've seen it on different channels. A lot of the competitors in American Ninja Warrior are elite competitors in the Spartan races. You'll see a lot of them at some of the national events. I know that David, I want to say his name is David Campbell, he was just featured on that new show where they were running through the streets of LA and they have to run a mile for $1 million. He was one of the competitors that caught the guy he was going up against. With that being said, I would say their budget's a little bit higher, so their festival area is the most grandiose of the 4 mentioned races. They have a DJ, they have tons and tons of vendors. They sell their own merchandise there. They sell shoes, shoelaces, different fitness products, energy drinks, different types of protein bars, and all-in-one breakfast, and all kinds of things there. They have several food trucks. So the festival area is is very fun. It's a great way to meet other racers and make new friends. I recently joined a group that is pretty expansive in that they have enough people around the country that there's a pretty good amount of people from that group at each race. So it's a way that if you're going to be doing these races often, you're going to run into these people over and over again. So it's a great way to network and just make new friends and meet new people with different life experiences that you can find inspiring or motivational. It is the most expensive. Regular price, when I look today, the sprint that is coming up, I want to say this weekend, was $135, which is pretty steep for a race, but like I said, it is the most grandiose of the four. However, a lot of times I have found that there are Groupons or different discount codes. I know that Spartan itself runs different promos throughout the year. So if you are interested in doing a Spartan, I strongly suggest doing a search, trying to find these promo codes, or if you notice that there's some kind of special that Spartan is running, to jump on that while the deal is active. Biggest pet peeve with the Spartan is that it is $20 per spectator if you do that in advance. If they get a ticket at the door, it is $25, and that's just really discouraging for like my parents that would like to come and cheer me on, or my brother and sister-in-law come and they have a child. Well, they can't just run and leave their child in the festival area. So if they wanted to bring my nephew and a babysitter, that would be another $25 spectator fee for that. So it's pretty inconvenient. Last year there was also, if I'm not mistaken, a $10 parking fee, a $5 bag check, but now they advertise that that's included in the ticket price. However, their processing fees and different fees, they have an insurance fee that they tack onto their list price. So where I say it was $135 to sign up, you're also paying, like, I want to say $16 for an insurance fee and like $8 or $9 processing fee. So it is pretty pricey for a Spartan run, and quite frustrating if you are wanting to do this more often. I will say with the Spartan race that they are pretty widespread. They have races all over the country, in Hawaii, and I know they're real big overseas as well. So it's just a really big race. As far as the atmosphere goes, again, everybody is extremely helpful. I know that I enjoy helping others get over the walls and conquer a fear. So there's a dunk wall where not half of the wall, but a little bit of the wall sits underwater, and you have to go under this wall, and understandably have to go under the water to get under the wall. And where that may be something simple to you, it could be very devastating to somebody who's uncomfortable with going underwater. Even though it's not deep, I won't say impossible to drown, but very, very unlikely that you would get in any kind of danger. It could still cause panic for those. So I know several times that I've helped count down 3, 2, 1, let's go, and held the hand of somebody and helped them conquer something as easy as that. And some more of the specific obstacles, as you'll see in the video, you have a uneven monkey bar section where some of the bars are higher, a little bit further away, lower. A lot of hanging type obstacles with a new obstacle called the beater that's very similar to the monkey bars. You have much taller rope climbs. I'm not 100% sure of the distance on this one, but I want to say 16 feet. I know it is high as hell up there. Where I did 1 or 2 or 3 pulls at the terrain race, I'm pulling 4 or 5, maybe 6 times on this rope climb. And I know my very first time, I had no idea the technique on how to rope climb. I hadn't rope climbed since middle school, and so I had no idea what I was doing. So that was a 30 burpee situation for me. However, after doing some research and learning the proper techniques, I'm able to get the rope climb every time. So I will say it is difficult enough to where I've only ran one perfect race, And what I meant by perfect race is I haven't had to do any burpees. I've been able to complete all obstacles with no help. However, there's always the one obstacle that trips me up, is called the Olympus, where you're having to position your body to kind of scooch across an inverted wall with different types of handholds, and it's just very taxing on your forearms. But different techniques can help get across the wall, so that's a little bit more research required on my part on how to just do that perfectly. They're not all impossible or strength type obstacles. There's wall jumps that are very easy to maintain. One of the aspects of the Spartan race that's pretty interesting are the actual race courses themselves. You can do a race in Florida and it'd be really flat but incredibly muddy, and then go to Asheville and it'd be incredibly steep mountains that you're having to traverse. But with that, you get amazing scenery. I remember Asheville is in the mountains, and there was one point where I had to climb like an 8 or 10 foot wall, and I just kind of sat at the top for a minute and really soaked in the mountainous view that we had there. That was a very awe-inspiring moment for me. I've also been able to race in the Washington Nationals baseball stadium. That was a super cool experience. We got to run through the players' locker rooms and even got to run on the field for a few obstacles. So with the Spartan race, I'm traveling a lot more and able to experience different places that I've never been before and places that I've never seen. And so it's a great way to get out of your comfort zone, or get out of your hometown, or get out of something that you're used to doing and just trying something new. With that being said, all 4 of these races are excellent races to do whether you're a beginner or advanced. If you're advanced and it's one of the easier races like the Warrior Dash, do competitive. Try to set a personal record time. If you're a beginner and want to do some of these harder races, do your research. Try to learn the obstacles beforehand. If you can, run with a group. Like I said though, if you are running by yourself, you will definitely find a group or different people along your race that will help you with your obstacle. Nobody's going to watch you fail and laugh and make you feel bad for failing. Everybody has failed at some point on these obstacles. I can promise you, even the elite of the elite have not run a perfect race every single time. And as a matter of fact, there is something as easy as a spear throw that they call the Spartan killer, because a lot of the elites miss it and they have to do their burpees. So in closing, what I would have to say, if you are interested in doing these runs, go in with a positive attitude. I'm not saying don't be nervous. I'm nervous every time I start these races, but it's a good butterfly feeling instead of a sinking pit. I know a lot of people kind of psych themselves out beforehand and have issues getting in the mindset that, you know, this is about to be something that you've set forth, a goal that you've set forth that you really want to accomplish. And I can promise you that the feeling that you'll get after crossing that finish line is going to be so worth the hard work or the pain that you've put through to get through the course. All that I would have to say really is just take a step over that starting line and, you know, have fun with it. Don't go out there with, you know, super high expectations and, you know, trying to break records that you think you could have done, or try to compete with people that have been doing this for a long time. Just go out there, run your race, have a great time, socialize with people afterwards and before, and just really enjoy the experience. So I hope this information was helpful in you choosing your race. Like I said, if you would like for me to go into more detail in the Spartan race more specifically, there's a lot more information to include in the Spartan specifically. So if that's something that you guys would like to know, just leave a comment, let me know, and I will gladly make a video about that. Just remember that major changes begin with minor steps, and just get out there and do the work.
That's good.